Welcome to the Silhouettes of Success podcast with your host, successful entrepreneur, broker, and business mentor, Amber Weitzer. Because success comes in all shapes, sizes, and styles, the Silhouettes of Success podcast is shining the light on industrious women with a collection of curated conversations of intentional inspiration designed to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, feed your soul, and gift you with actionable insights directly from inspirational, everyday women who've shown tenacity, grit, and grace, having taken on the challenges in their lives and business and won. Remarkable, down-to-earth, and relatable, Amber and her guests will share with you uplifting and extraordinary real-life success stories, motivational ideas that just might help spark something within you. With the deepest desire to serve you, help you grow so you can begin to shine the light that will illuminate your very own silhouette of success. So, let's get to it.
Hello and welcome to the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success. Our V.I.P featured guest is the VP of Limitless Franchising and the CEO and founder of Females in Franchising. It's a dynamic platform dedicated to empowering women in the franchising industry. She has built a reputation as a connector, educator, and strategist in the franchising world. She is passionate about providing a space for women to collaborate and learn from industry experts and grow both personally and professionally. She has a Bachelor of Science in Administration and Business Administration in Business and Management. She's a competitive swimmer, avid skier, and thrives on active outdoor lifestyle. Most importantly, she's a dedicated mother of two, ages 11 and 5, and cherishes spending time traveling and creating memories with her family. Silhouettes, let's bring in Brittney Lincoln to the show. Hello, Brittney. How are you?
Hi there. I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, fantastic. I am so elated to connect with you and have you on as you share your Silhouette of Success story with us. So once again, welcome. And let's have you just kick off the show by sharing with us more about the shaping of your background.
Yeah, so I'll start when I graduated from college with my degree in business and management. That was back in 2009, and I'm sure many people remember, not the best economy, definitely not the best time to be looking for a job. And so I was able to land a job as a receptionist for an insurance company, but learned very quickly that I did not want to be an insurance underwriter. No offense to anyone who does that. So I like to joke that I did what anyone would do and I started my own business. So I felt like that was, hey, the next best thing. I didn't want to be stuck behind a desk. And so I actually started my first business, which was a retail gift boutique in downtown Denver, where I live. I had a business partner and we carried, gifts and cards and stationery and jewelry. And it was really neat because there wasn't anything downtown for everyone that work down there. And there's a lot of tourism that we get down there too. And it was great until it wasn't. I'll keep it short, but I pretty much experienced all of the challenging things that new entrepreneurs and business owners could experience. We had some flooding and had to be closed multiple times in our first year. Unfortunately, at that time, my business partner, who was a really good friend, didn't want to continue. And so I learned quickly that sometimes business and friendship doesn't mix, and we're friends today. But back then it was a tough sort of breakup and decision to close the store, and so that was my first venture in business ownership, and that led me into a short stint in advertising sales, which was 100 cold calls a day, and good way to cut your teeth. But after that, I fell into franchising, and that's where I've been for the last 13 years, and it's been an amazing industry to be a part of, but it is still very male dominated. And so every boss that I've had over the last 13 years has been a male. Most of my coworkers were males. Really up until the last 6 years, I became a part of a team where I finally had, some female executives and female coworkers. And it changed everything for me. It felt like I had, business besties and these people that I could call. And it's not to say that I don't love and appreciate my, male bosses and counterparts, but there's something special about a relationship that, two women or multiple women can share with each other. And so that really prompted me to want to form Females in Franchising, which is this online networking platform for women in franchising. We only make up about 20% of like the C-suite and leadership roles in franchising. If you even look on the other side of the spectrum, there are about 800,000 franchise business establishments in the US today, and women only own about 30% of those. And so I really want to shine a light on the industry, whether you're interested in working in the industry or becoming, a franchisee and owning a franchise. I think more women being a part of the industry in any way, shape, or form is a good thing. But I really also wanted to create this platform to allow the women that work in franchising or own franchises to be able to network with each other. There are tons, and I've been a part of some of them, of amazing platforms dedicated to female entrepreneurs, female executives, and C-suite members. But I kind of view them as like these two pieces that just don't really support women in franchising. If you're in the C-suite, whether you're with a Fortune 500 company or a typical corporate company, it's just not the same when you work in the franchising industry. We're regulated by the Federal Trade Commission. We have all these unique nuances, if you will. And if you're a franchisee and you own a franchise business, I would say you often feel a little bit out of place in those like female entrepreneur, networking groups, platforms, because you didn't start that business from scratch. You bought into, right, a franchise. You were given a playbook. You have support, and you're still being an entrepreneur and deserve the credit for that. But the type of, I would say, support system you're looking for would be more connecting with other women that own franchises, not necessarily just women that are entrepreneurs. And so just having these amazing coworkers and colleagues that were women kind of looking at the industry as a whole inspired me to want to start Females in Franchising to really be, a platform dedicated to all women in the franchise industry. We'll bring in experts to do talks. I really want to help empower women. I want to help them elevate, not just professionally, but I think personally is super important too. As women, we kind of tend to seek out communities, but I would say overall, my experience over the last 13 years is you don't always have that community of other women. It's hard outside of platforms like LinkedIn to, connect. And so I really just want to be a facilitator. I want to give other women, the chance to have mentors and a relationship like I've shared with my coworkers for the last 6 years. And then, like I said, shine a light on the industry. And if I can get more women to join the franchise industry or become franchise owners, even if it's just a few, I'll consider that a win.
Remarkable. So we're going to skip around a whole lot now in the platform, in the script. I'm just going to ignore what's in front of me because so much of what you've been sharing with us is just so very dynamic. You've shared the why, if you will, of what and how you got there, where you are right now. Is there a type of franchise that you find that females or, would you say they're your clients or customers, or is it a membership base?
Yeah. So
Okay.
Females in Franchising is going to be a members only like online networking platform. And basically, I would say a little bit exclusive in the sense that you either have to work in franchising. So you would be working for a franchisor, working for a franchise vendor. You could be a franchise consultant, which we can touch on because that is how I would recommend any woman that's listening that might have an interest in owning a franchise would absolutely want them to work with a consultant, which we will have as part of our group. Or you could be a franchisee. You own a franchise. So I do have plans. I will tell you in the future. I would really love to create an incubator for female founders that are interested in learning more about should I franchise my business? And I've got some good tips and can even share kind of my 3 things if you're a female founder that you would need to consider and have if you want a franchise. And even some courses, I would say, for people who just want to learn more about the franchising industry in general. But to start, and we're doing a wait list right now, just to be really clear, to start, you'll have to be in the franchise industry in some way, shape, or form. Like I said, either working for a franchisor, a vendor, or be a consultant or a franchisee to qualify to be a member of Females in Franchising.
You talked about the numbers,
Yeah.
800,000 and 30%. Is there a niche that more females are drawn to in the franchising world? In other words, a business model or a brand, without, you having to be awkward and name names.
No,
Oh, sorry.
no.
But do you find, is there a gravitation towards something?
I would say it's kind of funny. I'm going to say yes and no. So it probably wouldn't surprise you to know that a lot of boutique fitness and senior care or in-home nursing care and, concepts like that do tend to have a little bit stronger female ownership. But the cool thing about franchising today is there are, I would say, definitely, think boutique fitness, think in-home care, senior care. I would say industries where it probably wouldn't surprise anyone to know that there's a little bit stronger female ownership than maybe male ownership. But the really neat thing is today there's about 3,000 different franchise concepts that exist. So think of these as the franchisors, right, that go out and sell their franchises. And the number of industries, I mean, there's a franchise for everything. There's a franchise to pick up, your dog and take them hiking. There's a franchise to clean your grill. There's, I mean, almost anything you can think of. We usually tend to think of fast food and, things of that nature when we think of franchises. And so the neat thing is, I would say, as I mentioned before, working with a franchise consultant is so amazing because what they will do is they will profile you. They will look at your background, your experience. They will understand your goals and aspirations with franchise/business ownership and present you with options that you might not have considered. So that's why my answer was sort of yes and no, because there are definitely concepts, industries where females just tend to gravitate towards it because they're consumers, right, of fitness, or they have aging parents and love the idea of, being in the senior care space. But you'll also find women that own, painting franchises and, things of that nature, because through working with a consultant and doing their research, they realize, oh, wow, maybe I would have never thought about this, but this actually checks all of my boxes. So that's the neat thing. I would say anyone that is interested in business ownership really should at least consider franchising. I like to call it entrepreneurship light, because you're still doing what 99% of the population isn't going to do. And that is investing in a business that you become the owner of, right? Most people work in the corporate world and keep those golden corporate handcuffs on forever. No offense, there's nothing wrong with that being your career path. But business ownership is, as you well know, and being a true entrepreneur where you conceptualize an idea and bring it to fruition, the numbers, sadly, right, are not so great, right? 90+% of small businesses fail in their first year. And a lot of times it's because they're underfunded. But franchising, if you look at it, it's almost like the inverse of that. I believe the stats are more than 70% of franchises are still standing after 3 years, because you have this franchisor, you have this plan, you have this playbook, you have a whole team supporting you. Our lovely little saying in franchising is you're in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself. And then you have this community of other franchisees, which I will say within each franchise brand, franchisees do tend to be pretty collaborative and do tend to come together and support each other. But I would also say what tends to be hard is, if I own a fitness franchise and I really want to connect with the smoothie franchise here, I really want to connect with, a chiropractic franchisor, right? We have similar client lists. A lot of times you're doing that by messaging them on LinkedIn or trying to slide into their DMs. And so this is part of my vision for females in franchising of, creating this platform where these franchisees can come together, but also for the women listening that are interested in franchise ownership, reach out, because any of the franchise consultants that are part of Females in Franchising could work with you. And it's kind of like having a real estate agent. They're not going to charge you anything for their services. To be fair and to be transparent, they will get compensated by the franchisor if you buy into a company. But all the work they do with you to profile you and understand you will be, pro bono, if you will. And if you end up not buying a franchise, that's fine too. But it's a great way to figure out what might be the right fit.
So much greatness in that. And there's two people in my head that have just been radiating that would benefit from what you are offering, and just how you've gone into exceptional detail on the consultant aspect of that. Very visual and very easy to relate to. Like you talked about, you go into the entrepreneurship role, but this gives you that extra layer of kind of a built-in success, if you will, with the blueprint. So, all right, my lady. So we're going to pivot a little bit and talk more about you for a second, and then we'll come back into your businesses. The alarm clock goes off and your work or business day begins. What does that look like for you? Are you very spontaneous? Are you structured? Do you dig the routine? Talk to us about best practices.
I am definitely a routine or creature of habit person. So, my alarm, I will say my alarm goes off in the winter. I'm much better in the summertime of kind of, I would say that, internal clock of, waking up just before the sun rises. It's a lot easier in the summer, right?
Agree.
In the winter,
It started already.
it has. No, it really
Yeah.
has. I've gotten
Yes.
so much better. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I get up and my 5-year-old is usually up around the same time, if not a little bit before me. He's an early riser. He always has been. And we have a kind of a little routine that we do together of we go in the basement and I do my workout and he hangs out and he plays. Sometimes he does it with me. He's not super into it. But that's my, got to check that box, got to move my body. And I try to do it every day, even if I don't feel like it, because you always feel so much better afterwards. And I haven't always been this way. I've had, ebbs and flows throughout my life, especially being a mom. And when you're postpartum, it's hard. But right now, that's the rhythm I'm in. And that is also my task to get me my coffee, because I am a coffee person and I love my coffee. But I sort of tell myself, no coffee until you complete that workout. So come upstairs, get my coffee. And then usually by then our older son is up. We all have breakfast together before he goes to school. And then my little guy and I usually hang out for a little bit before my husband gets home. My younger son's not in school yet. And then I start my work day. So I try to have my mornings be, a little bit of me time, a lot of family time. And then I'm usually on calls for my role as a VP with Limitless Franchise Growth for most of the day. And then I try to be really good about, last call of the day, close my computer, close my office door, from 5 on until the kids go to bed. It's family time. And then if there's more work to be done, which right now it's usually more work to be done with females in franchising, open the laptop back up and get back to work. But I found that routine works really well for me.
It's great to have a energetic 5-year-old accountability partner.
Yes.
Yes, because he's going to want to go down and do his thing too. So that helps.
It does.
You talked about needing to make a change after your downtown Denver gift business. Sometimes our audience is very intrigued by what did you take away from that, and going through something positive or painful and the growth. Was there something that you can pick out of that experience that you grew from, and you can look back and you see that maybe incorporated in what you're doing today?
Yeah. I mean, I am a very big believer, things don't happen to us, they happen for us. And that's so much easier said than done. So I will say, if there's anyone going through a hard time or that's had a tough time with their business, I know being in a good place right now, it's very easy for me to say that. And if we were talking in 2011 when I had to close my store, I would have said, no, you're wrong. This is happening to me and I don't know why it is. And I'm upset and I'm angry and I'm sad and I'm all the things, right? So obviously hindsight's 2020. But yeah, I mean, look, I think I always joke with people, that was my real world MBA. I had put together a business plan in college, but I had never run a business. So it taught me so much. I had to negotiate. I did use an attorney, but negotiate a commercial lease. I had to hire people and start to understand what HR and managing staff was like. I've always loved shopping, but I had to go on buying trips and not just think about what did I like, but what were people going to like, looking at a P&L and, learning accounting and finance for real, right? Not just like the tests you take in business school, but, oh, wow, like how much money is going out the door and did we make money this month? So honestly, I learned so much. I am so grateful that I took that leap and I did that. And maybe I was just so young and naive that I just, had rose colored glasses on, but I learned so much. And I will say, the whole like friendship and business doesn't mix. I think at the end of the day, what it boiled down to is I wanted to continue on and my business partner didn't. And that's what I was, upset and hurt by. But at the end of the day, it wouldn't have been fair for her to, continue on just because I wanted to. Right. So I just felt like it was our baby. We had poured our blood, sweat, and tears into it just because the location we were in, we were dealing with this flooding. Why not move and go somewhere else? But we also had a retail store in 2010 and 2011, which was a very tough time to be in retail. The rise of Amazon and things like that. There's part of me that's like, who knows? I would love to believe that we would have made it, but maybe we wouldn't have. And so maybe it was a huge blessing in disguise. So that's kind of what I take away from it is, gosh, I learned so much. I didn't even know franchises, existed back then, but kind of my idea for our gift store was I wanted to have multiple locations. So I look back now and I'm like, wow, I kind of almost wanted to turn that into a franchise. And here I am, I ended up in franchising. And I feel like helping other people become, franchise business owners, entrepreneurs is sort of the next best thing to having, your own business. So I look back on all of it, honestly, with a lot of gratitude. Can definitely say I was upset at the time, but now, gosh, almost 15 years later, right? I'm so grateful that I did that. And even that it turned out the way that it did, because it's kind of led me to all these other things. And I've always known I would have my own business again. I just didn't know what it was going to be. And now that I've just landed on this passion for, empowering women and shining light on franchising, I'm so excited to do it again. So
What best practice of a positive adjustment based on what you've shared and based on what you're working on, in this phase of your journey, what would be a positive adjustment that you've made over time, or maybe it's one thing recently in your life or work environment that has helped you support your dreams and the growth and achieving goals?
I'm very much a do-it-yourself person. If you want something done right, or you want something done right, do it yourself. But I have learned, and I would say this has probably been a while, and I was even like that with our store very much, even though my business partner and I were 50-50 and we were very even, I did definitely try to take on the reins and do a lot of things myself. And I think that's honestly a little bit of a female trait. I think especially working moms, right? We do it all, right? And we're like, hey, we just have to, right? It is what it is. You gotta, you gotta juggle all the balls and keep them in the air. But I think asking for help, right? Having, whether it's friends, whether it's colleagues, whether it's your partner, you don't have to do it all alone. You can ask for help. And again, kind of back to my why for starting this, as soon as I, started connecting with my coworkers and my colleagues that I've had for the last 6 years and, asking for help, or what did you do when this objection came up? And then we started talking about family. It just changed everything for me. And I realized you don't have to do it alone. And it's funny because I'm very much like that in my personal life. My husband stays home and takes care of our kids, and our family motto is teamwork makes the dream work. But I would say professionally, I was a little more of a, lone wolf. I'm like, I'll just do it all myself, and depend on me and myself and I. But that's probably the biggest. I look back and maybe could have been a little bit better about that with my business. And then I would say over the last few years, leaning on others, finding colleagues that could be mentors. Was a game changer. And there's a really fun stat that I always like to share because this is part of my goal with females in franchising. And this does apply to men too. So I can't say this is just for women, but people that have a mentor or a coach are 5 times more likely to get promoted in their job than someone who doesn't. So it's just sort of the proof is in the pudding of, find those mentors, find those people that you can look up to, that you can ask for help and guidance from. It does make a huge difference.
Brittney, when do you feel your greatest sense of satisfaction?
I love my job and I love what I do, but mom is my favorite role. So I would say when my kids do things that I'm really proud of them, whether it's in school or sports. And I mean, they totally deserve the credit. I'm not sitting here being like, oh, yeah, I'm the world's greatest mom. But when they're happy and they're proud, like our older son had a basketball tournament this weekend and he literally hit the buzzer beater, like game winning shot. And the look on his face, like I'll never forget it. Like it was, I almost want to cry, like thinking about it right now. Like he and his whole team, right? Like things like that. You're just like, wow, how lucky am I that I get to witness this and raise these kids and be a part of their journey. So I'm don't get me wrong. I love working with you. I mean, it's a great feeling when someone calls you and says, this business has changed my life. It's changed my family's life. I mean, holy cow, like that gives me goosebumps. But being a mom to 2 amazing boys, like seeing them interact, they're really good brothers. That's my jam.
Love it. Love it. So we all crave great resources. And when we connect with women like you that are doing things above and beyond, or, again, participating in the family activities and all of those things. So do you have any favorite resources or books that you would, or authors that you'd want to share with the audience?
Okay, I would say 2. One I've read, one I'm only halfway through. I mean, I love podcasts. I'm really big on podcasts. I really love Lewis Howes' The School of Greatness. I've heard a lot of great people on there. But my favorite book I've read in the last year, and hopefully I can say this or you can edit it out, but is You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. It's very much about just like manifesting. But again, I think for women, like back to what we were discussing, right? We think we have to do it all and juggle all these balls, but we also have a lot of negative self-talk at times. And, I think we downplay our achievements and our success, or we compare ourselves to other. And this book will be like the best thing for you if you have any of that, because she basically is like, no, you are amazing. You like quit the negative self-talk, like recognize how amazing you are, how powerful you are, go out and do the thing. It was kind of the kick in the butt that I needed to like start this business and things like that. But I'm also reading Be Seen by Jen Gottlieb, which is kind of similar. And I am just loving it. I'm actually listening to the audiobook, so I should I should own up to that. I'm a big Audible person. I love listening to things. But that one's been really amazing. And then parenting wise, to be honest with you, we're not super big on screens and things like that. So I would say for us, like, we just try to get our kids outside every day. I'm definitely not the perfect parent, but we are just really big on meals together. And we have like little like cards where you like get to ask questions, like things like that are kind of fun as your kids start to get older. So that would be, I wish I had better parenting resources for you, but I would say quality time is like our biggest thing of we just try, right, to spend as much quality time with them as we can, because we know the older they get, the less and less of that you get.
I think that's the best advice is be present. I think that is the
Yeah.
you got it. Oh, my lady, it flies so fast every time. And I could stay on and have you share more. But again, I have to respect the time frame. As we begin to wrap up, keeping the promise with our audience to share intentional inspiration above and beyond everything that you shared, do you have a piece of key go-to advice? Do you have a favorite saying or quote posted or anything that you'd want to pass on to the audience?
It's so funny because I've already told you my like things don't happen to us, they happen for us, and teamwork makes the dream work. But I'll give you one other one. It's a Kobe Bryant quote because I love him, RIP. But he has said, dedication sees dreams come true. And I think whether we're talking us as moms, us as business owners, friends, like be dedicated to what it is that you do, and you're gonna do great things.
Love that. All right, my lady, the stage is completely yours. Where can the audience go to find and connect with you, see what you've got going on, and support you in your continued success?
Yes, so my website is www.femalesinfranchising.com. If you're interested in being a member, there's a wait list, but even if you're just interested in getting more information about franchising or want to get connected with a consultant, you can go ahead and sign up there. If you want to send me an email, I'm Brittney, but you can see hopefully my spelling is a little bit different, Brittney at femalesinfranchising.com. And then that is my Instagram handle too, as well as my LinkedIn page. I'm getting all of that stuff propped up this week. So it should be all up and ready to go. And I am just so excited. And thank you to everyone who listened. And feel free to reach out to me on social, email, you name it. I would love to connect with you.
Love it. And just so to remind the audience that we will have all of those connections in the show notes. So you are one click away. All right, my lady, it has been a sincere pleasure. Thank you for sharing your Silhouette of Success journey with us. You are beyond an inspiration. Again, I've got a couple of names and faces floating in my head that I want to connect with you. So already you've sparked some inspiration for me personally. Again, thank you for being here and sharing your time and your journey with us.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, my lady, until next time, enjoy your day.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Silhouettes of Success podcast. If you enjoyed the show, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on all the new episodes. We are here for you and with you. We encourage you to share this podcast on all your socials and pass on the light to help illuminate another silhouette of success. To find out the latest ways to inspire your heart, ignite your mind, and gain actionable insights, subscribe at thesilhouettesofsuccess.com or connect with us on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We're grateful that you've tuned in. Remember, you are exactly where you need to be, right here with us. This is the Amber Weitzer podcast, Silhouettes of Success.